Very good afternoon to all. Welcome to our weekly Tally CA Connect. So our today's topic of discussion is always an important one, that is TCS management and TallyPrime. And we always get in few requests to do this webinar. So today we have expert for today is CA Monica Challani Ranka. Monica ji is a practicing chartered accountant. She has worked in various areas of company law, income tax act, indirect taxes, auditing and assurance of corporates, non-corporates. She's a Tally expert and an evangelist. She has taken various trainings at different forums. We are glad that she's taken out time for us today for taking this knowledge session on TCS management. So I think there's some issue with her video, so will not be able to see her, but should be able. Her voice and screen recording is working fine, so that will be enough for us.
Thank you so much. So today's topic is TCS automation, but if you see, TDS and TCS go hand in hand. Majority of the settings and the way of recording transactions, everything is similar to a mirror copy, wherein you're in this part of the transaction as a buyer in case of TDS in most transactions, and in TCS, if you see, you become the seller. So you're literally, there's literally a glass in between, and one person on one side and one person on the other side. So this is how the recording happens. So we will concentrate on TCS today because that is the topic of discussion. But having said that, TDS and TCS both have similar settings and similar configurations. So we will discuss both here and there, but we will concentrate on TCS for today. I am sure some of you already know me and some of you may not know me. However, I am here to do a little bit of learning myself. So we will have an interaction of learning with each other. And anything you want to say, feel free to put it in the chat box along or in the Q&A. With this, let us start with today's topic, which is TCS automation and Tally. Yeah, I always start my presentation with a quote. So today's quote, I have used this numerous times, but I still cannot get over this quote. If you cannot do great things, do small things in a great way. This is almost become like my life mantra now. So of course, we cannot be, all of us cannot be like, great achievers and whatever, but whatever little thing we do, try to do something better. Always, in case you're doing anything, I always emphasize on the importance of automations. Like anything that is repeating or recurring, please automate it. You will save a lot of time, a lot of energy. First, when you do it for the first time, you will incur a lot of time. You will feel that you're wasting your time. But having said that, once you are done through it, the crowd we are with are all CS. So all of us would be either doing audits or preparing some sort of reports. I'm sure all of us do some sort of report. If you're into practice, you would be doing, you'd be doing audit reports. If you're into industry and you're into any banking sector, you will be doing any sort of reports, may it be any kind. Now, how many of you have an automated template wherein, you need not put those regular mundane details? So, you need to have that. That is what we are going to do in Tally as well as of today. We are going to set right certain, certain settings, which we need not redo again and again. That is the purpose of this particular session, because I am sure all of us know what is TCS, what is TDS, and we know income tax. We have learned it right from our from our IPCC till for some people IPCC, for some people intermediate, but right from there till today we are learning, hearing tax, eating tax. We are literally in and around taxation. So I do not want to bore you with the same old subject. Let us just look at it in a different way. Okay. Now, this is also a standard slide in all of my presentations, which is the structure of any activity, which is very, very relevant in any kind of activity, whether professional, personal, or any sort of activity. You can take numerous examples. Every activity has these particular, components. which is like it has a source, it has a destination, it has a procedure in place, and then there is some sort of documentation. You can take any activity for that matter. Let us take one basic activity of say I just randomly pick up activity from our regular lives. So let us take one activity, say, of traveling. So you have, if you want to travel, you have a source, you have a destination, you have your tickets, or you say your ID proofs. If you're traveling abroad, you might have passport, visa. So those are all your documents, and you need to save them. So that is like you need to store the visa and your passport. You need to keep it in hand for immigration. You might need it for other communications. So that is the storage and documentation. You go travel there, you click photos, you document your experience. So all of that, any activity has this procedure. My question to you is, what is the starting point? You have 4 items there. So I just want to know what is the starting point of this particular, any activity. Now, in our example, we've taken travel as an example. So can we please quickly have some responses in the chat? What would be the starting point? Say travel, the first, what would be your starting point? Okay, I have received an answer, source. I am not saying whether right or wrong. Let's wait for 2 more answers before I put my thoughts into this. Desire to reach somewhere. Okay. All right. I didn't know we are such creative people. This is a new response I have received. Desire to reach somewhere. Very creative. Destiny. Okay, yet another new response. Okay, fine. So I will quickly break it to you. According to me, I mean, I'm not saying where each of these answers are wrong. All of them may be right, may be wrong. But according to me, I would say the destination, the output is the starting point. You might argue with me. I'll just put my points up front, like why this is the starting point. Now, in case you see, if you are looking for travel, because that was our example. Now, if you do not know where you have to book the ticket for, how will you even book the ticket? How will you even make accommodations? How will you make arrangements for accommodation? How will you know what is going to be your travel plan, your time of travel, how many days you require for traveling, your boarding, your lodging, your food expense, and everything. Only if you know your destination, everything else falls into place. So I would say your destination. You can take any other example. Let us take one more quick example for that. This time we'll take an accounting example. So you say you want to record a TCS transaction, okay? Because we are into the topic of TCS. You want to record a TCS transaction. You need to know whether TCS is applicable. Now for TCS, your destination, in case of TCS, the destination would be your TCS recording of entry. Now, if you have to know whether TCS is applicable, you will need to look into the source, which is your transaction, okay, which is your sales transaction. However, for applicability of TCS, you need to, in the end, go and check the TCS applicability, which is nothing but the TCS, the rate, the threshold limit, if any, and all of that. So in any numerous transactions, it may be debatable in certain set of transactions, but generalized, if you just see, your destination or your output would be your starting point. You can take any example of preparing reports. If you know the contents of your report, you can, start your audit right. If you know the contents of your financials, you can start your notes right. Okay. If you know the contents of your invoice, you can start your recording right. You can record the transaction right. If you come to know later on that you had to collect the supply or your buyer's address, a PAN number along with address, and you you didn't know this because you had not seen the invoice layout. Suddenly, when the print is coming, the PAN number is blank, and then you realize, array, we did not take the PAN number itself. So you go back, call your buyer if your buyer is reachable. If you are not able to reach the buyer, you lost the buyer for like once he has made payment and it's just a walk-in buyer, and you will not be able to find that buyer again. So in those cases, it's always advisable to know your output, because if you know the output, your inputs, your procedure, everything will fall right in place. So if you ask me, I would always say output or destination is the starting point of any transaction. In that process, something known as documentation and storage. Every CS best friend, working papers. So in any activity, what we do, we collect as much evidence as possible, as much working papers as possible, and store them as part of our working papers. So I'm sure all of us have heard it. Every CS best friend is their working paper, not even themselves. So you trust your working paper more than you trust yourself. Are the sayings that go on. However, if we break this again further, this thing we'll just skip it. Now, if we break this further, this is the TCS activity flow. But before we get into this, I would like to bring in the TCS rate charts, so that you understand what are the rates applicable, so that we can work with one of such examples. So this is the TCS rate chart, which is there. So these are all the TCS sections which are applicable along with the rates. So we will look into any two examples. Let us say, now these particular transactions do not have any threshold or exemption limit as such, but this particular transaction have a transaction exemption or threshold limit. Okay, these transactions also, they have a expiry date. They have been applicable only from so and so period, only for so and so year. Okay, certain sections were inserted later, like this particular section, motor vehicle, it was inserted from say applicable from financial year 16-17 onwards. Similarly, these are the latest sections which have come in. The most happening and talk of the all sections is the TCS on sale of goods. We've been having enough conversations, enough sessions, and enough presentations on this particular section, with coupled with the new TDS provision 194Q. So this is one section which has been in talks for a very, very long time. So these are our TCS sections. Coming to the due dates, similar to TDS, wherein you have to pay on the 7th of from the end of the month. You have to just pay before 7th, and these are the due dates, which is all self-explanatory, so we need not waste so much time on this, but we will come back to this particular chart once we get to this. So TCS activity flow, this particular chart is not an exhaustive one, but it is, it includes few other sub-processes. However, it starts with a particular transaction. So in case of TCS, it starts with a sales transaction. Depending on the nature of goods in these categories, in categories of these items, okay, depending on the nature of goods, up to M, okay, A to M is depending on what goods you are using. If you do not fall into these categories of goods, TCS is not applicable for you. But having said that, the new inserted TCS provision, jisme you're supposed to collect tax at source on any sale of goods. Okay, it has to be a sale of goods. That is the only criteria. However, this has certain sub criteria, which is the seller's total turnover should exceed 10 crores. Okay. If it does not exceed, then this section itself is not applicable. You need not see further. Now, once the turnover exceeds 10 crores, then the other settings come into place. So now in this case, let us assume that, either the party is of the criteria of falling under these goods, or the turnover of the particular supplier exceeds 10 crores in the previous year. Okay. So either of these two conditions should be met. Now let us assume that we have such transaction. Now you have to see whether it is its applicability is at, the expense level, income level, or it is at, the party level. Now, in case of these transactions, if the party is a general regular buyer, which is not government, okay, and certain other exempted parties as exempted by the section itself. They have a section for buyer as well as for seller. They have a definition. If it does not fall under the definition, then it is straight away out of the deductibility criteria. So collective TCS criteria. So directly no TCS should be collected. So it has to be applicable both at transaction, at our macro level, which is the company level, at the transaction level, also at the party level. Okay. If it's applicable on all three places, then you have to see whether there is any threshold limit. And if there is a threshold limit, then you deduct or collect tax based on that threshold limit. You might have two types wherein you have a flat rate and you have a different rate setup. It can be by order of the officer, or it can be due to, it might not have other, it might have other criteria. So if that is met, then you can, deduct at the varying rate. Now in TCS, once we had discussed this, now in case of bullion, just say, or in case of motor vehicle, if the turnover crosses this particular threshold limit, then only TCS is applicable. So in those cases, only when the transaction crosses that limit, or total of transactions, okay, it is not just one transaction, this transaction or total of transactions cross across this particular threshold, only then TCS is applicable. Now, once you have collected, okay, the next thing is to remit it to the government's account. So what will you do? You have to remit the tax within due date. If you delay, then you have a interest liability. So now when you have collected the tax within the next month, 7th, you have to deposit to the government's account. If you pay it within 7th of the next month, you need not pay any interest. Otherwise, 1% interest will be applicable. So that is about the delay. After you have paid, after the quarter gets over, you have to go, file the quarterly return, which will have contain all details of collections along with their PAN numbers and, the payment details. So those details along with your Challan generated, you have to file the return within the prescribed due dates, which have been mentioned here. So now regarding the overall picture of TDS TCS, pretty simple, all of us know. In case anyone wants to know anything, please feel free to go, question. Now the important place wherein we are looking at is the constituents. So at macro level, which is at company level, which is our company, okay, whether it's a partnership or a proprietor concern, you have to look at the company level. The company term is used as per the terms used in Tally. So this is just a entity level check. So first you have to check whether TCS is applicable for you. How will TCS get applicable for you? If you are any of these parties like company, corporate, or anything, or individual and HUF having taxable turnover. Having tax audit applicable in the previous year. So the moment tax audit got applicable, or you have the turnover you have met the criteria of audit, then for you TDS and TCS provisions become applicable. Now, whether or not in that particular transaction is applicable, that we look at the transaction level, which is the micro level. So at the macro level, let us just get into Tally. We will, if you feel I'm a little fast, since this was the topic which was already, we have dealt with, I am running a little faster. But if you feel my pace is fast, please do let me know so that, I can just slow down. So now this is the party which has already been created. New party creation, I'm sure you know, so we'll just skip that part. Now, F11 features is where you have majority of your accounting and other features. I have a question. Is there any discussion regarding TDS automation in Tally? Ma'am, TDS and TCS have similar settings. If you understand TCS, most likely you will do presentations which have been already made by me and by other faculties and other persons, which is available in the website. Also in the YouTube channel, you can discuss, you can, get the details from Komal ma'am. She already has those details and TDS has already been taken. Now, regarding TCS, you enable TCS. Before that, please enable GST as well, because TCS is calculated on the GST component as well in certain transactions. In certain transactions, it is calculated excluding GST. So it matters based on what kind of deduction is happening. But please enable GST if it's required. Make your GST enablers, and then you come to the TCS enability. Now, the TAN number remains the same as you will do it in TDS. It's the same number, so you might as well just type it. Generally, if you break the TAN number, it is actually the first 3 digits of a TAN number depict the city code. Okay. Since I am from Chennai, so the city code will be CHE for me. In case someone is from Mumbai, it will be MUM and so on and so forth. So you see the TAN number and you can know the city. Okay. So this is how it is, followed by 3 alphabets, followed by 4 numericals, and the last is a junk enabler. Okay, which is again an alphabet. This alphabet most probably is the alphabet within the name. Okay, so now you select what the collector type is. Only 2 categories are there: individual HUF and company. Whatever does not fall in individual HUF goes in company category. Okay. Now, whether you are a branch or a division, you have to mention person responsible. 100% you have to mention this. Okay, you have to mention the person responsible details, their PAN number, designation, and all of these details, because this goes in while filing the returns or forms or challans, as the case may be. As it is mentioned even here, if you can read the last note, all the above details will be used in challan, forms, and returns. So please make sure you mention the right details here if you want to generate the return from Tally. Okay, having said this, you can check other items. Generally, I say please enable bill-wise for transactions because you will need them. Okay, apart from that, other things we can discuss as and when the transaction comes. So we have finished the macro level just on company configuration. Now let us quickly get back into this chart, and we shall use one of these transactions to do this particular party level, income level, TDS, TCS level. All these 3 we're going to do together. However, as and when you get a party, you can add add the buyer and you can put the settings, but we are going to create something known as categories. Okay. So again, I'm coming back to this particular page wherein first level happens at the company level. And if this happens, generally this happens only once until there is any change. Say you have the person responsible, that details you have a change. Generally TAN number does not change, but in case you have a subcategory, you say you generated a new branch and you have a different TAN number. In that case, you might add the new TAN number. Otherwise, this particular company level configuration happens only once. And even if you split the data, these particular settings get carried forward to the new data as well. So this particular configuration, we do it only once and it has to be done right if you want your returns and your transactions to work right. Now coming to the micro level, as and when you create the party, you will have to keep adding or removing these configurations based on your transaction. Excuse me. Now, if you look at this, let us say we are, gonna sell, say we are gonna sell motor vehicle, which is in excess of 10 lakhs. Okay. So I'm going to sell, say, a car. So first item, what you will require, first master which you will create is a stock item. Generally, that is how we do. So say any car. Okay, I'm just going to mention it as car. Now, there is something known as list of groups, which I'm going to keep it under primary. Okay, so I'm just using okay. So I'm just using now this costing and valuation method. This is out of topic, but however, if you do not put this right, your stock valuation will get affected in your reporting. So please make sure whenever you create a stock item or if your client is creating stock item, make sure you tell them to make the costing and valuation method selected right. Generally for majority of stock, FIFO or FIFO perpetual is selected. In case of certain items like say wherein you do not have this first in first out, normally average cost is selected. So please make sure you select the right one. Otherwise you will find a lot of difficulty in valuation. So please make sure the right method has been selected. Generally this is the last sale price in case of market valuation. However, it might differ, but as per acceptable valuation methods as per accounting standard, FIFO, average, and sometimes the the exact sale price, exact unit price, that is unit to unit price in case of certain items. But generally FIFO and average or standard weighted average is what is accepted. So please make sure that the right valuation is selected so that you do not have trouble in valuation. Okay, if you see here, you are not getting something known as TCS configuration at all. So in that case, what you will have to do is F12 and enable this particular TCS details. Okay, the ones you enable that, you will get this line item called as TCS applicable. Now, if you go to F11 features, I have enabled TDS as well. But if you see, there is no requirement, or there is no setting which is asking me whether I can enable TDS details. The reason being, generally TDS is not deducted on stock basis. Okay. Now, having said that, TDS is already, GST is already applicable. I will set it and I'll say it is taxable, and I'm going to say 18%. Generally, luxury goods 28%, but I'm going to say 18%. Now, in case of TCS applicability, it is asking me whether TCS is applicable, and undefined has been selected by default. Now, there are three subcategories in applicability. One is applicable, one is not applicable, and one is undefined. Applicable, not applicable, very clear. Undefined is you define it at the time of transaction. That is the way it has been done. So if you do not know for now whether TCS is applicable or not, you just say undefined. Okay. So I say applicable. Now, nature of goods, there are three categories as of now. It says any undefined sale of motor vehicle. Right now, for me, sale of motor vehicle is applicable. However, I'm going to select any and close this. Sorry, I'm going to select sale of motor vehicle and close this particular stock item. Once stock item is created, let us create a sales ledger. Okay. Okay, I'm going to select a car sales ledger under sales. Again, TDS is applicable. TCS is applicable. But over here, I'm going to select any, because I want to use the same ledger for multiple sales, multiple transactions. The next ledger is the party ledger. Say I am buying from since he's the buyer, he'll be under trade receivables. Okay, this is nothing but the jargon. Sundry debtors, I have just renamed it as trade receivables because that is what Companies Act takes into consideration. So generally, I enable bill wise. Now, whether TDS deductible, I say no, but TCS, yes, applicable. Now, the buyer type, let me say he's an individual. Okay, I've selected limited, so he's a company. Okay, so now the state for is, I'm just keeping it as Tamil Nadu. PIN code is necessary. Please mention it. Okay. Now, if you do not have PAN number, you know that you have a higher TDS rate. Similarly, if you do not have PAN number, you have a higher TCS rate. If you see, if you do not have PAN number, it is 5% or twice the rate, whichever is higher. In case of TCS on sale of goods, it is 0.1 or 1%. Okay. So that is the rate. So PAN number is absolutely necessary. Okay. This is a dummy PAN number, but do not do this. Please put the right PAN number, because if the PAN number is wrong as well, you will have the higher tax rate. So the PAN number has to be verified and checked and then only inputted. It is always advisable, get the PAN card copy or Xerox, or just at least look at it when you're typing it. Okay. So the PAN number, all of us know it's a 10-digit number. So which follows by 3 alphabets, followed by the status of the entity. Say if it's an individual, it will come as P. In case of company, it is C. H in case of HUF. Trust, it will have T, and so on and so forth. And followed by 1 alphabet from the name, followed by 4 digits, and again an alphabet from the name itself. So if you see, this actually is a wrong PAN number. The reason being, this should have been S. But since we are just having this, provide PAN details. Now, PAN effective date. Imagine a person received the PAN number a little later. So up to a certain date, you might be deducting at a higher rate, and then from the time he has the PAN number, you might have to, input this. This particular place is where you're going to give the effective date of PAN. As of now, there is no requirement. Now GST number. Okay, so now this is the GST number. Immediately, there was an error message that got thrown because it's a wrong GST number. However, if you want to know the info, you have to just go into this place and you can get the GST details. Okay, for this you will need the e-way bill or the e-invoice login ID password. Once you input that, you will be able to go and verify this GST number. So this party is created. There is one more, however, detail which is there, which is allow advanced entries in TDS TCS master. If you enable this, there is one other item which has gotten enabled at this particular place. If you can, see this use advanced configuration for TCS. If you say yes, it will have certain other details which which generally will not be showing directly. So ignore surcharge exemption limit. Okay, in case you have surcharge in particular transaction, then if you want to ignore the exemption limit, ignore income tax exemption limit. Now this particular item, if at all you have any income tax that you want to exempt, in case of say they have threshold limits and you want to ignore that particular limit, then you have to make it applicable. Okay, right now we do generally this is done at the stock level in case of sales, or at the transaction level or the ledger level, not at the party level. Generally it is done there. But in case of this particular section, wherein we are looking at this particular section, we generally do it at the party level and not at the, this level. If you say applicable, it'll ask, say, and it'll ask for which section. So let me just quickly create this particular section. This particular section, everything comes automatically without PAN point 1, with PAN 1. Tax calculation based on realization. Now there are three things which I have if you look at it, there are three things which we have seen. The first thing is, if you're doing at party level, you have to enable second thing is TDS on realization. Now, TCS, generally TCS, majority of transactions talk about realization, including 206C1H, talks about tax to be collected on realization and not on sales. However, it is very difficult to keep track of realizations and, later on telling the customer that he has to pay extra. Generally, people do it for ease of, operation, they do it on sales, but generally majority of the TCS transactions are on realization basis. If you want to stick to the law directly and you want it to be on realization, you set this to yes, and exemption limit say 50 lakhs. Okay, this is party based exemption limit. Calculate tax on value exceeding exemption limit. Now, if you would be, someone was asking me about TDS, if this particular screen would have been for 194C, I would have left it as no, but this is for 206CR, which is this one, 206C1H, which is sale of goods, which is over and above 50 lakhs. So you will say yes to this. Now I am going to disable this particular item so that we can do particular quickly. Now, the moment I said ignore exemption limit, I am only saying for this, for the other transaction, I am not including any sort of exemption limit. Now we have created a stock item, we have created a sales ledger, we have created a party ledger. Now all we have left to do is create the tax masters. So now I will quickly create a CGST tax master, okay, which is under duties and taxes. I already have a GST account. So GST central, I'm not going to give any percentage here. Whether is TCS applicable, it is a debatable topic, so I'm not going much into the debate. As of now, I'm going to say it is applicable. Okay, in certain transactions. Okay, again, now TCS is a very a topic wherein in certain transactions you do collect tax on the realized amount, which includes GST. In certain transaction, it is on sale, so that will may or may not include GST. However, we are not debating, we are not here to discuss law. So I'm just going to keep TCS is applicable on this particular transaction. And I'm going to select any, okay, in all sorts of transactions because we don't want any debate as of now. So I'm going to just select this and quickly create the other counterpart, which is SGST. Again, instead of undefined, I'm going to still select any. The difference between any undefined and selecting a particular line item of category that you have created, the difference is simple. In any, it'll just take it as any sort of transaction, and depending on what your transaction says. If you say undefined, you will have to go and select it at the transaction level. If you select any one category, then it will only do for that particular category. Okay, right of, as of now, I'm just selecting any and quickly create a TCS master. Now, when you create TCS collected ledger, now this will be under duties and taxes, or I might have a TCS. No. Okay, this is under duties and taxes. See, now if you have enabled TDS or TCS in the F11 features only, then it will show here. Otherwise, you will have to re-enable and come back and it will show you. Now, in case you want TCS ledgers to be separately maintained for each category of your TCS collection, then you select the nature of goods in that category. If you want a common TCS ledger wherein you can just add in all the TCS similar to GST rate-wise bifurcation. If you want your TCS collection, say imagine you just say on sale of motor vehicle, then you please select the sale of motor vehicle option over here. If not, keep it as a common ledger. So we have done with the master level, which is this particular level. Now the third and the most important component of recording is the voucher. Now say we are creating a sale entry. So I'm going to sell a car to. Now if you see, I do not have a sales view which is of inventory. So immediately I'll change the mode and make it an item invoice. Now this is the party of the GST details. You're not getting deep into that. Now I'm going to sell a car. Immediately TCS allocation ledger came into place. Just for a moment, if we think, if I would have selected this over here, okay. automatically this particular item will turn to this tax calculation sheet. The classification will not be asked for. But since I had selected any, this was coming. Now, one more thing which I want to bring to your notice is the more details list, wherein if you have made changes to any tax details, this is applicable for both GST as well as TCS. Okay, if you have made any changes, it will come and fall as line items. So whenever you make any change to your tax configuration, please make sure you check the tax rate history of both, of any tax item. Now, in case now I had selected this, if I don't want this, simply delete the date and that entry will vanish. Okay, because a lot of people, I have received a lot of questions regarding, you know, this history of transactions, wherein they're like, we are able to see the history, but we're not able to remove them. What they do is they remove everything, but the first line item, which is the date, if you just remove that one date, you can just, you know, remove the entire line. So make sure you remove the date, and you know that, and that line item will just disappear. So if you want to make those corrections right from the beginning, then you need to do this way. If you want, for example, this applicability started from 1st October only, and up to 31st March, the rate was different. So let us just record that. Okay. So car, say one for I gave 50 lakhs, right? Okay, this particular threshold I have not put in, so I will quickly go to I'll say this is for 11 lakhs. Okay, so tax classification details, all of these are coming only because I have selected this, you know, advanced classifications. So now, okay, if you see, the TCS collected has come in automatically. Now, if you notice, I had generated a CGST general general named ledger. However, I chose this particular item. Okay, now let me just select the ledger that we created. Let me just select that. Okay, now if you see TCS allocation, it is asking me, I will select sale of motor vehicle. Now the, again over here also it would have asked me for TCS allocation. So I'll say sale of motor vehicle. Okay, if you see, automatically the value got updated. So if you want that the TCS is to be calculated on the GST component as well, you enable it at this place wherein the tax, the GST component statutory details section, if you enable the TCS applicability to be applicable, and if you select the right sections for which you want to make it applicable, it will deduct on that. In case where we are debating that, this is on sales. This is purely on, I am just showing you both the scenarios. Based on your transaction requirement, you will accordingly select this. So, I'm repeating again, we are not discussing law here. However, in case of transactions wherein receipt basis is considered, generally, even when we talk it on legal perspective, we advise it to advise the collection to be on GST as well, so that you do not have any sort of issue. But if it's on sale, generally we do it only on taxable portion. Yes, that is what I'm answering, sir. In case wherein it's on realization basis, generally, since they say on amount realized, which includes tax, so generally we ask, to avoid litigation also, and we have a certain number of case laws also on it that it's better to deduct it on, on GST component as well, because realization includes taxes. But there is another school of thought, and for majority of cases, even we follow that, which we do it only on taxable value. However, see, it is on the application of mind of the auditor and the accountant. So I am going to leave it at that. But I am showing both options wherein whether you enable or don't enable, the calculation happens. Now, in this case, when I chose CGST output ledger and SGST output ledger, which is what we generally follow, okay, in case of this transaction, like say sale of motor vehicle, we generally follow this. So automatically on just the taxable value, TCS is collected. So there are both the school of thoughts are in practice by professionals and non-professionals, and I am not here to debate on either. I am only showing you if this is the method, then this is how it is done. Okay. When in stock item is involved. Now I will tell you when and where we generally use the configurations. Say you have this car sales. Instead of car sales, let me choose a sales shoes ledger. Let us just see what is inside that. Okay, rate is not defined. So I'm going to define a rate, say, okay, I'm going to say TCS is not applicable. Okay. Even though I said TCS is not applicable, if you just see the TCS collection automatically value is coming forth automatically. If you want, I'll just quickly do a round off so that. Okay. Now, since I said TCS collection is not applicable in the ledger level, though if you see in the item level, TCS is applicable. Okay, we have said it's applicable. We have selected the nature of applicability as well. Okay, but even so, we have said that the ledger level TCS is not applicable. And if you can see, there is no TCS calculation. Now, let me just select the car sales. And instead of this item, let me select shoe. Okay. 11 lakh shoe is too much, but still, okay. If you see again, the TCS does not come. So in case of contradiction, generally, it picks up the ledger level. Now, if I would have allocated, okay, if I'm allocating the TCS, if I'm allocating at this level, since I had said undefined, I had allocated for sale of motor vehicle, even though there is no TCS configuration done here, okay, it says undefined. Let us select not applicable. Okay. So I've said that it's not outright not applicable. So it's a clear contradiction with the items which I'm saying. Okay, in that case also it will not come. However, if there are two different details between stock and ledger, okay, it will accept the details which are mentioned in the sales ledger and not the stock item. So make sure that there are no contradiction. If at all there are, the sales ledger configuration will override the item configuration. But however, if you say altogether not applicable, system gets confused and she'll say, I do not know what to do. So, you might have to select it your own way. So now let us just select the same old ledger car, 11 lakhs. This is the transaction, e-way bill and all is not at all. Okay, so this is the transaction. So let me just, so this is our first transaction. Now, once we have made this transaction, we might have to, so again, I'm selling to Star Limited. Yes, we are going to that exemption limit transaction. Okay, now we are selling, say we are selling shoes, or say we are selling some 28% item, or just say we are selling shoes as of now. Now over here, I have said TCS is not applicable, so I'm going to make it applicable. Okay, I'm going to say any. So let it just be applicable. Now over here, I am going to just put it on consideration on any goods and say, okay, undefined. Perfect. So this particular item, I am selling, say, 500 items at 1200. Okay, so I'll just make it 5,000. Just use this ledger. Okay. Now, can someone tell me, I have done everything right. If you just saw in my transaction, the exemption limit and all, I have put it right. And I said that, the exemption limit should be beyond 50 lakhs turnover and all of this. But having said that, I'm still deducting, the TCS got deducted at 1% on the entire 60 lakhs. Can someone give me an insight as to why this has happened? Can someone, correct my mistake or tell me why this has happened? Did I do a mistake? And number, no sir, if 60 lakhs, let us just look at this. Divide by 0.001, which is right. 0.1%. So the calculation is right. It's not at 1%, it's 0.1 only. Can we quickly get some answer? Okay. So if you see the turnover with this party, the turnover has already crossed 50 lakhs. Okay, it is. Okay, already 11 lakhs plus 60 lakhs. Now say if I would have just done Yeah, I'm sorry for the disturbance. Yeah, so if you just would have noticed, this particular transaction is not going through the only, let me just create another party so that we can quickly do the exemption limit. Okay, so the previous party we had certain, we changed a lot of settings. That is why if I would have just come out of tally for once and just got back in, the settings would have settled. But if you see in this particular party, clearly we can see once it has crossed 50 lakhs, on the amount over and above 50 lakhs, it has deducted or collected TCS and shown. Okay, if you go to tax analysis, you'll be able to see that this is the breakup. So car sales 15 lakhs on 15,000. It on 15 lakhs it has taken it. Now the same party again, Travel Co. I will generate this. I'm going to show this again. Just give me 2 minutes. I will show this again. I'm not going to select the nature. I'm not going to select this as well. Now I'm selling one car, say for 10 lakhs. Okay. Now again, CGST is GST. Okay. And say TCS select. Now, because it has not been selected at both places, it's not accepting. So let us just quickly select the sale. Okay. On 10 lakhs, 1,000 is getting collected again. So the exemption limit works this way. Okay. In this particular category, what I had actually done was I said ignore exemption, income tax exemption limit. Okay, which I did it over here. Generally, you do it at the So generally, what you do is when it goes, the sections of TCS work like this. They actually, you have to see if it falls under any of these sections. If not, is when the last section comes into place. Okay. If you're already deducting TCS on any of these sections, you will not take this particular section into consideration. However, if that section is not coming into consideration, then this particular section triggers. Immediately, you have to select this particular section. So when you set it at the stock level, okay, you will not face this difficulty. However, if you have multiple stocks, okay, you have various stocks of a particular, in your company and you're selling it to a particular party, then you have to, enable it at each of the stock levels and, also enable it at the party level. So in case of TCS comes into place, recording of transaction, you will have to do this. Now, with what I wanted to show you, I tried showing it together. That is why it got misfired in the first place. So I'm going to show this again. Now, you have a threshold limit. Okay. Now, this threshold limit is on this threshold limit. I told you only one category. Now, the second criteria, once you fulfill this criteria in case of TCS on sale of goods, okay. In case of TCS on sale of goods, the first criteria is the seller's total turnover exceeds 10 crores. Now, only if this criteria meets, we go to the next one. Now you have to see the buyers on the buyer's end. Now the buyer's turnover with the seller, okay, with us, okay, with us only exceeds 50 lakhs. Now this is not turnover. I'm just using turnover to ease the entity. It is not turnover. It is actually receipt. Okay. It is, this is on receipt. So with this, I can quickly share an example with you so that you understand this better. Okay. I'm sure we have heard this enough, but this understanding is still required if we want to do the transaction right. So example 1. Okay. So wherein this is the sale value, this is the receipt. Yeah. This is the TCS. Okay. TCS accessible value or applicable value, however. So now in the first category, we have my system itself is not accepting this. Okay. So, and you have say 20 lakhs receipt, or we'll just put it 40 lakhs because this turnover. 4 lakhs, 40 lakhs. Okay, this is the first category. In this, the TCS applicable value would be, we'll just quickly do another example. Here, the sales is 40. We'll just reverse the example. And the receipt is 1 crore. Okay, in this case, sales say is 60 lakhs. And receipt is also 60 lakhs. In this case, sales is 60 and receipt is say 120. Okay. So now these are the 4 categories. Now in the first category, wherein the sale is so much and receipt is so much, the taxable, the applicable value in the first category would be 0. In the second category would be, okay, and so on and so forth. So now if you see in any of these categories, even though sale is crossing, not crossing, receipt is the criteria. However, in practical scenarios, we do not follow this generally because keeping track of these sort of transactions is a hurdle. But if you ask me, you are supposed to keep that into picture. That is where this particular that is where we selected the, when we were creating the particular item, there was one receipt basis. If you select that item, then your TCS will get collected on the receipt basis. However, generally we do it on sales just to, there are various reasons to do it. First thing is the tracking. Okay, tracking becomes extremely difficult if you're doing it in receipt. However, if you're following consistently a receipt principle, then you can easily do it on receipt. The procedure is the same way how you're doing it on the sales transaction. The moment you select the TCS, the category, it will select, it will get accepted. Now, the last leg of this particular item, wherein we have to make the payment of the TDS so far collected. I have not seen what is the date I have passed the transactions on. So let me quickly just see the dates in which I passed the transaction. Okay, they have been passed in July. But let me just do a thing. I'm going to change the dates to the next quarter, or just say 1st January. Okay, I'm going to change the date to January so that we can just look into the transactions we have created now. So say 21st January and say 14th January. and 19 Jan. Okay, these are the dates which I'm just changing. Now, if I want to make a payment, okay, F5 payment, there is an option called autofill. Okay, generally I would suggest for statutory payments, please autofill it. So from first, since it's a January date, it is showing me. So let us say on 6th of February, we're making the payment because 7th is the last date. So we'll keep one day this thing and we'll do it. So now I'm going to autofill it. Stat payment TCS period is from 1st Jan to 31st Jan. Okay. So that is the period collected till date 31st Jan 206C, all items. Okay. And all again. Now, this collective status, it's asking because the challans have the bifurcation between company and non-company, but it is no longer so relevant to, do this. However, if you're keen on doing this, you can still select it. In fact, even the nature of goods or the section code is also no longer relevant because intersection adjustments are also allowed in the TDS TCS return. So the challan, if you have made payment, please, you can make it a note also. If you have made payment in one section, you can adjust that payment in some other section, whether or not the payment of tax has been made in that section. As long as you do not break the transaction, okay, the transaction, say the tax TCS which you are going to adjust is say 100 rupees and you have only 90 rupees in the challan, you will not be able to do it. But if you have 110 in the challan, you can easily, utilize that 100 rupees in any other section as well. So these section requirements and these company, non-company, all these are not so relevant. However, this is the company deductee, so I'm going to select it, resident, yes. Now cash or bank, please generate a bank account. Okay, I'm going to just select the first bank available. Okay, so now this is the bank account. Now, is this the amount what we had actually done? Let us go to the TCS ledger and see. Okay. So now these are the transactions that we had done. So the amount should have come 17,700. But having said that, if you just see, the amount is still not. Okay, the amounts are correctly deducted on their own. However, if you just come to this transaction, the value shows at 11,000 only. Let us again select TCS collected and see if it's now changing its mind. If you see it's not, why? Can someone tell me why this is happening? This was what I had selected. Okay, I think Vandana ma'am is going to literally answer all the questions. Okay. This is the tally data. Yes. So if you just see in the stat payment, it did not come and the answer will definitely be in the TCS form. Okay. So from January to March. Okay. All of these transactions, whatever we recorded are all sitting under Okay, this unable to determine tax TCS liability for ledgers or stock items. So this particular group CGST output, they are not able to determine the TCS liability. So let us go to alter master, ledger, CGST output. Okay, since it is undefined, I will say not applicable. Now, it just selected, it is not applicable. So if you just see this particular party, it says it is accepting with conflict. Okay. The reason being, we had manually, this is not manually done. However, we have selected the same ledgers for a different section. Okay. If you accept it, I mean, if the transaction is correct, we can always accept as it is. But the reason for this particular difference is only because the same masters have been selected for a different transaction or different tax calculation. So, Tally is throwing out an error telling there might be an error. Okay. There, just because it is going and falling in an uncertain transaction category does not necessarily mean that there is an error. Okay. Once you have done this, from here also you can do the stat payment. Okay. Right from here, say from 1st Jan to 31st Jan, you want to do it. Collection till date, say 31st Jan.
Monica ji, so there's a message to change the TCS payment date.
Oh, okay. Yes. I thought when you do it from here, I think outside you have to change it. Fine, fine. That's what I was trying to look at. Because if you do it from the voucher page, generally you're on that date and you just do it. Yes, thank you so much, whoever suggested that. Yeah, that is the issue. Okay. So now since we are in the Feb date, I'm again going to just do this.
Ranka ji, time check. Do we have finished the entire?
We have just max 5 minutes. I was emphasizing on the transaction recording, which I deliberately did some errors and some errors just happened. And it was a good way for me to just, take it through. But
okay, sure.
Yeah, so you just give me another, some 5 minutes max.
Okay, sure.
Because we've come to payment and the last step is just return. So we've just almost come to the end of it. So if you just see, though I did not do this, this transaction also has come into picture because this is also there. Now we'll not discuss about this transaction. This is an earlier transaction of TCS. Now this particular transaction, since we have already, done this, and again 2,500 and 1,000. So this was the total TCS which had to be paid, and this will, automatically, get paid. But having said that, it will still come and sit under uncertain transaction. The reason being, you still have to input certain details. Say the check number, BSR code, Challan number. Check number is optional, but these three are compulsorily to be filled because these are part of your return information. So once you fill these, say, okay, and date, say 5th February, and so on and so forth. The moment you fill them, it'll go and sit under okay, it will show it as a included in transaction. That means it will show it as a paid amount. Otherwise, it will always throw it as an payable amount. Okay. Now, the one more thing which I just missed out was this transaction. If you take a print of this transaction, it'll exactly come as your challan. Okay. So this is your challan per se. This you can look at this information and make your payment either online or via any bank. But this is your challan as it is, and all your information, if given correctly, all your information will fall, in their places, and you can just utilize this particular information to fill your online challan. So this was something which I wanted to show. So if you just see this challan 281, it's exactly the challan, your taxpayer code, what is the TCS payable, the section subcode, and the amount, and all of these details. Once you input those details, you will, you might get your challan. But to just information, or you can just simply use this PDF and you can, make payment via banking channels as well, the other modes. But having said that, this is the entire flow of transaction. Finally, after 3 quarters, you come to the same place, verify your transaction. If some have not come into the picture, you can just go into uncertain, or just open these and see if any of these transactions have been excluded on their own, and you can just select them. Now, regarding this, once you are satisfied, you can just save the return, and this return FVU can be generated, and you can file the return in there offline, in the web utility, and file the return. Return filing of TDS or TCS does not happen through Tally. you will have to just take the return FVU. You will have to download the CSI Challan file and then file the return. But return filing procedure does not happen through Tally. You can only get the return file. You can save the return and get the return FVU, which you can put it in the offline utility of TDS traces and file your return. With this, we are closing this TCS. There were certain glitches with my system along also, and since I just came in a hurry, there was certain glitches in the transaction also. So I apologize for that. But having said that, we have rectified majority of the concerns, and it actually there was a silver lining to it that it actually gave me opportunity to discuss certain issues that generally come up proper. So
yeah, ma'am, I think it's maybe the mistakes were deliberately and everything, but I really enjoyed the session ki, pata chala tha, oh, acha, in such situation, what you're supposed to do. So that was a very good session.
No, I am coming clean. There were certain things which I did deliberately. One or say two issues came up during the session, which also gave me an opportunity to discuss that issue. So it was a silver lining, but
definitely,
yes.
ma'am, definitely. This is how it's a knowledge sharing session, and it's basically a CA Connect. So as and when I think we can see that some people were replying also to do the things and all. Vanna ma'am was constantly guiding us.
Yeah,
This is all the Connect is about. So it should not be a
I
thing.
will take this opportunity, ma'am. 1 second. I'll take this opportunity and thank Vanna ma'am. In between, I actually did get, I was wondering what happened. I think date she only suggested. Yeah. I was sure she would have done it because I was wondering, because everything was right and I'm wondering why is there, it's not happening. And yeah, so I really thank you, ma'am.
It was a good session, Monica ji. I don't know why would you say this, that there was an error. It was really a very encouraging session. I'm sure people in the YouTube will also encourage. Your previous videos on our CA Connect also has a lot of viewers. So I'm sure this one too. Vanna ma'am, would you like to add something?
No, it was an amazing session with the time availability and the complexity of the section itself. Participants will agree that she has to go through Excel itself. You can see so many sections. Even government is, taxing us, but still Tally is trying to, give as much as comfort to the participants and, simplify the software. And in a limited time, Monica, you did a wonderful job.
Thank
you to the participants, a help menu is always available. So they can F1 press करके वहाँ पे जा सकते हैं. And the way Komal said, there will be videos also available, short videos also available, even write-up is available. So they can take help of that. And whatever you did now was fantastic क्योंकि realization value पे वो लोग ने act बना दिया है. But practically it is impossible. So most of the people are following collection basis, मतलब जैसे ही bill बना उसके साथ डाल ही दो.
Yes. That is how the practicality is like that. Yes.
So पता नहीं why it doesn't go to there.
No, actually certain sections they have made the changes, ma'am. They have made a B. They have made it on either of this or that.
Either or, yes.
But still there are certain sections which are still kept on realization.
Yes. So only tips for the participants. Please configure the master properly. Then Tally will take care. So most of the things are taken care on one-time exercise. You have to do properly. That's configuration. So, try to use Tally as a tool for day-to-day operations, then statutory compliance, and you will be, amazingly happy, for the same,
Thank you, Vanna ma'am. I will now have to conclude. Before that, thanks a lot, Monica ji. I think we were getting a comment also. It's a practical session. Thank you for that, and we're getting requests for the recordings. Yes. The recording will be available in a day or two. We'll be uploading in our community.tallysolutions.com under webinars. You can also go through our YouTube Tally CA Connect playlist, and the video will be uploaded in a day or two. Please stay tuned for our CA Connect
Wednesday. Chance of PPT getting?
Sorry, ma'am?
Is there any chance of getting PPT? It was such a beautiful PPT,
Oh, yeah. I actually did not even show this screen. This is the exact thing what we did there. So that's it. Yes, ma'am.
The moment I see, I was so happy that you have done such a wonderful exercise.
Yeah, the presentation is too good with the visuals and everything.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Monica ji, for making time for us. Thank you, Vanna ma'am, for joining. Thank you, participants, for staying till now.
Thank you.